Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Monday, May 15, 2023, and tonight I will be talking about Monday Night Raw. Alright, so tonight's Raw marked the debut of Gunther. And let me tell you something, he was all over tonight's show. He was involved in multiple backstage segments. He cut a promo before the start of the Battle Royal to determine his new number one contender. He was all over tonight's show. So let's talk about the promo he cut. So he starts talking about how perhaps people need an introduction. He talks about how for almost a year he dominated SmackDown for over a year as the undefeated Intercontinental champ and longest reigning champion in the modern era. He says that from this day forward, he will continue his mission on Raw, and no man on Raw has yet to be identified as his next challenger or has earned his respect. So obviously this came before tonight's Battle Royal to determine his challenger at Night of Champions. So the winner of tonight's Battle Royal was Mustafa Ali. I'll talk about how he won and about the Battle Royal itself when I do the full show review, but I just wanted to mention that so that I could continue talking about Gunther's involvement on tonight's show because it plays a factor. So after Mustafa Ali won, there was a backstage segment that featured him first talking to Alpha Academy about how he used to be a loser like them. Then he started thinking positively and now he's a winner. So he bumps into Gunther, who tells Ali he's going to suffer the biggest loss of his career and he wishes him good luck. He talks about how Ali's going to take the long trip to Saudi Arabia just to lose. And then Mustafa Ali says he's going to take the Intercontinental title from Gunther. There was also a segment backstage where Imperium was walking and Akira Tozawa bumped into them and he just turned around and went walking. So another backstage segment that Imperium was involved in tonight was they approached Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. If you guys remember, last week, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated Kaiser and Vinci, and they reminded Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that Gunther would be coming to Raw. So, of course, Gunther approaches them, and he tells them that he will not tolerate the disrespect that they showed Vinci and Kaiser. Kevin Owens says that they will fight Imperium next week, and Sami Zayn that says that they'll find a partner to face Imperium. Very curious to see who they choose. Maybe it could be Matt Riddle. They did team with Matt Riddle previously to take on the Bloodline, so maybe we'll choose Matt Riddle. Who do you guys think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to choose to be their partner against Imperium? And also, we are shown that Gunther is shaking hands with Paul Heyman backstage before the main event. We don't know what this deal is about, but they also make an appearance in the main event. You know, they get involved in the main event, which I'll talk more about when I do the show review. But just the fact that we saw Gunther so much tonight, and the fact that we got a battle royal to determine his next contender, and we just got him with so many segments, I feel like they're just goes to show that they're heavily pushing Gunther and Imperium. So, you know, I can't wait to see the type of dominance that Gunther has on Raw. It'll probably be similar to what he had on SmackDown. But I thought they did a really fantastic job with showcasing Gunther. I mean, I'm telling you, he was involved almost in almost everything tonight. All right, so tonight's Raw kicked off with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're talking about how they found out on Friday. They were surprised. They literally found out, the same as everybody, that they're going to be defending their tag titles at Night of Champions against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Sami Zayn says that on paper, this is the biggest threat to their tag titles, but they see this as a gift because it's their chance to get revenge on Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn says that Kevin Owens should have beaten Roman Reigns, and he says that he should have won at Elimination Chamber. And he accuses Roman Reigns of cheating his way and has been unchecked for far too long, and that at Night of Champions they will check Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn says that Roman Reigns is pushing too hard and far and is pushing the Usos too hard. It's not enough to hold both the WWE title and the Universal title and being champion for nearly 1,000 days. Now he wants the tag titles. Sami Zayn calls Roman Reigns a psycho and says he can't have the title. And then out of nowhere, Judgment Day interrupts and Kevin Owens orders to cut their music And he said that he's sick and tired about talking about the bloodline, and he just wants to fight. Sami Zayn says that Judgment Day may not be here to fight and calls him gentleman and Dom, which I thought was so hilarious. And you can tell this upsets Kevin Owens. And Damian Priest says that Kevin Owens is spot on. They're here to fight. And Kevin Owens, that was so hilarious that he did this, turned around and told, see, I told ya. Finn Balor says that he's confused because he thought last week Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens said that they were done with the bloodline. Finn Balor says that when they get back, they have a long line of superstars waiting for them. And Rhea says Judgment Day runs Raw. So Kevin Owens says that Sami Zayn wanted to hear them out. Sami Zayn says that he wants to hear what Dom has to say, but Dom can't even speak because the crowd is just like booing him. Kevin Owens says he can't hear Dom and it's pointless and asks if he can punch him in the face already. And then Rhea Ripley, she steps to KO. And this allows Judgment Day to attack Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So I thought this was a really good opening to Monday Night Raw. However, I am kind of noticing a pattern here. It seems like Sami Zayn keeps getting them into these types of situations. I mean, Kevin Owens told Sami Zayn just to let things go with Jey Uso when he refused, and then Kevin Owens got beat down. In this instance, Kevin Owens told Sami Zayn that Judgment Day just wanted to fight, and Sami Zayn wanted to hear them out, but Kevin Owens was spot on. Judgment Day did want to fight. And this allowed Judgment Day to pretty much get the upper hand on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So I wonder if this is going to start slowly building to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn splitting up. I can see perhaps Kevin Owens getting frustrated with Sami Zayn, that he keeps doing that, especially if it leads them to lose the titles. Although I don't think that they'll lose at Night of Champions. I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that's not the case. Because Roman Reigns certainly doesn't need 4 belts. But I do think that it will eventually cost him the titles, maybe against Judgment Day. But we have to wait and see. But I certainly do think that Kevin Owens is going to get frustrated with Sami Zayn constantly doing that. Next we get Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz. And this was actually a really fun match. I enjoyed it. I thought for a second, this match was going to go to The Miz, especially after he hits that skull-crushing finale. But luckily, Nakamura got his foot on the bottom rope. And Nakamura went with the King Shasta to The Miz. So Nakamura wins his first match on Raw. Before I get into the next segment, I do want to say that there is a little bit of news. Fightful Select reports that Liv Morgan was injured in her tag team title defense alongside Raquel Rodriguez against Damage Control on SmackDown. Fightful goes on to say that they haven't heard of the severity of the injury or where the spot happened. They also haven't learned as to what will become of the women's tag titles. And so this is what this next segment is about. It's a Chelsea Green, Sonya Deville, and Raquel Rodriguez are all backstage. And you guys remember Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were supposed to defend their tag titles tonight on Raw against them. But since Liv Morgan is injured, that was impossible. So instead, we're getting a one-on-one match against Raquel Rodriguez and Chelsea Green. Sonya Deville wanted Raquel to forfeit the titles, but of course, Adam Pearce did not allow that to happen. And instead, we're getting a one-on-one match. So I guess you have to wait and see what happens with those tag titles. We get the first part of a Seth Rollins sit-down interview, and he talked about how he won the NXT tournament back in 2012. He talked about the Shield, and of course, the chair shot heard around the world. When he hit Roman Reigns with the chair shot back into the back. And he talked about how if you want to reach the ultimate success, you've got to take risk. After this, we get the Imperium promo, which I talked about at the beginning, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. We get the Intercontinental title top contender battle royal, which I already revealed the winner, it's Mustafa Ali, but now I'm going to go ahead and talk about how he won. All right, so there was a lot of eliminations in this. I think I caught all of them, or I tried my best to count all of them. So Corbin eliminated Akira Tozawa. We had Dexter Lumis eliminating Baron Corbin. We had Maximum Male Models eliminate Dexter Lumis. Alpha Academy thought they eliminated Maximum Male Models, but they eliminated Mansay, but he caught Mansoor. So he wasn't eliminated just yet, but he did get eliminated because Mansay dropped him after Dexter Lumis scared him. And then Alberto Carrillo got eliminated. I didn't catch by who. The Viking Raiders double team and eliminated Shelton Benjamin. Otis eliminated Eric of the Viking Raiders. And then the Ivar of the Viking Raiders eliminated Chad Gable. And then Ivar and Otis went at it. Bronson Reed eliminating both Ivar and Otis. Then everybody ganged up on Bronson Reed. You had Johnny Gargano doing a hurricanrana to Mustafa Ali. Then he did a spear to Mustafa Ali. You had Roderick Moss doing a fallaway slam to Ricochet. You had Bronson Reed eliminate Apollo Crews. You had Matt Riddle take down Bronson Reed. He eliminated Roderick Moss. Matt Riddle also eliminated Johnny Gargano. That was a shocker and a huge surprise. But Bronson Reed eliminated Matt Riddle because he was on the ring apron, and Imperium kind of got involved there. So that you could say they caused a distraction, allowing Bronson Reed to eliminate Matt Riddle. And then Mustafa Ali and Ricochet tried to eliminate Bronson Reed. What ends up happening is Bronson Reed catches Ricochet, and mind you, Bronson Reed's on the ring apron, and then Mustafa Ali does a drop kick, and he eliminates both Bronson Reed and Ricochet with that drop kick. So I was a little surprised Mustafa Ali won, but I mean, I guess it didn't matter because whoever won this is probably going to lose against Gunther. But you know what? Good for Mustafa Ali getting this opportunity. I hope it's not a squash match. I hope he gets a chance to shine. Mustafa Ali lately has been on a roll, so good for him. But I don't think he's winning that title belt off of Gunther. We get a Becky Lynch promo, and she talks about how the man has come around to Greensboro. Kind of reminds me of how The Rock used to say, finally, The Rock has come back. And then he would proceed to say whatever city or town they were in. So that reminded me of that. She goes on to say that part of being the man is admitting going through stuff, and she says that she's been going through stuff. Sometimes things get overwhelming and you can't do it by yourself, so you gotta ask for help. She said that's why she asked for help, and from the two legends, Trish and Lita. She says that Lita was great, and with her they won gold, but yet she couldn't see the snake in the grass that was Trish. She said Trish never came back to help Becky. She came back to help herself. Whatever did happen to Lita? I mean, she got attacked, and we never got an update on what happened with that. Becky goes on to say that despite all of that, she wanted to say thank you to Trish, but not for the reasons Trish gave. She talks about how she felt when she had to listen to Trish stand in that ring and call her daughter stupid. She talked about how at one point Trish was number one and Becky is it, and that she will be it until she says it's over. And she will show Trish how thankful she is when she kicks Trish's head in at Night of Champions. So that was a good promo by Becky. Next week, we're getting a contract signing. We're going to make it official, but obviously, you guys know contract signings, weddings, and celebrations in wrestling never end well. So I'm assuming that contract signing is going to end horribly. And the fact that this match is happening at Night of Champions, I feel like we might get a trilogy that would probably culminate at SummerSlam. But what do you guys think? You guys think we're getting a trilogy out of Becky and Trish? Let me know in the comment section down below. Then we get a Rhea Ripley backstage interview. And she was actually watching Becky Lynch. She talks about how when Natty came out last week to save Dana Brooke, she says that Natty needs to stay in her lane. Then Natalia interrupts, and she says, this isn't about staying in the lane. It's about beating down a woman who was already beaten. Rhea Ripley says to Natty not to act like she came down there for Dana. And she says that everybody knows Natty came down there so that she could have everybody care about her. And then out of nowhere, Dominik approaches, and he takes Rhea's by the hand, and they walk away. I guess they're trying to stall a feud between Rhea and Becky because it seems like Rhea's next feud is going to be against Natty. And with the build being so late for Night of Champions, actually, you know what? It would not surprise me the least bit if at last minute we get a match between Rhea Ripley and Natty at Night of Champions for that women's title. It would not surprise me if that happens last minute. I'm hoping it doesn't, but it wouldn't surprise me there. And after this, we get a Mustafa Ali backstage interview, which I talked about at the beginning because it involves Imperium. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that. So we're supposed to get Xavier Woods versus Dominik Mysterio again. I don't know why. But before the match starts, Dominik Mysterio cuts a promo. He starts talking about how if Woods is convinced that he's going to beat him because it's a new day, Xavier Woods fires back and he says he doesn't have anybody to watch his back yet. But unlike Dom, he's a grown man. Or does Dom need to ask permission from mommy to speak? So that did not sit well with Dom. So this leads into their match. And Kevin Patrick on commentary says that Xavier Woods wanted this rematch. So you have Xavier Woods doing a shoulder tackle to Dominik, followed by a dropkick to the spine. Then you got Dom doing stomps to Xavier Woods. When he went to the outside, Dom hid behind Rhea in order to avoid Xavier Woods on the outside. Rhea Ripley got in Xavier Woods' face. You have Xavier Woods headbutting Dominik, followed by a drop kick. He did a chest chop and then a clothesline. You have Dominik doing the Three Amigos to Xavier Woods, and this led to Dominik getting booed. And as you know, after the Three Amigos, he climbed the top rope and he blew a kiss to Rhea Ripley before attempting to do the frog splash, which backfired because Xavier Woods got the knees up. Then he did a gutbuster to Dominik, and Rhea pulled Dominik to safety. Dominik dropkicked Xavier Woods on the outside. Rhea Ripley cheap shot at Xavier Woods and sent him back into the ring, and then Dominik Mysterio was victorious in this. This match was the same result as last week. Dominik won last week, Dominik won this week, so I don't know why we needed to see this match again. Alright, so next we get a backstage interview with JD McDonagh, who I don't know too much about. Again, I've said this before, I don't watch NXT. During the Battle Royal, he attacked Dolph Ziggler, so that's why this backstage interview was happening. They wanted to know why he attacked Dolph Ziggler, and he says he came to Raw to make a statement, and who better to do that than against Dolph Ziggler, and he proceeds to list all of Dolph Ziggler's accomplishments, and then as he's walking away, like, you can see Finn Balor in the background, he's just kind of watching him. From my understanding, they do have a little bit of history down in NXT, so maybe there's also rumors that they're looking to add a fourth member to Judgment Day. So maybe JD is going to be that new member. Next, we get Indus, Sher, and Veer versus a couple of jobbers. It seems they didn't catch. What is there to say? This is a squash match. There's nothing more to talk about. I'm going to move on. After this is supposed to be a backstage segment with Imperium, but I talked about that already at the beginning. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and skip it. We get a Cody Rhodes promo. And I mean, this was your typical Cody promo. He talks about how Lesnar has elected not to be there. He says that the people in attendance are a fun audience. He tells a story about a scorpion and a frog, which I'm assuming is supposed to be a metaphor for his rivalry with Brock Lesnar. And he says it's Lesnar's nature to hunt. If Lesnar's hunting, he asks how his face is. He says how if Lesnar looks in the mirror, he sees an alpha male, but then he says that probably Lesnar recently saw his bruised up face. And Cody says that when he looked in the mirror, he sees the man who did that to Brock Lesnar. He says there's always been talk about Lesnar's ego. He says because Lesnar is better than 99.9% than the superstars to come into that ring. And this is about being at the top of Raw. Cody mentions how Lesnar has conquered WWE in sports entertainment, and Lesnar is in his way. So after this, we get a quick backstage segment with Zoe Starks and Candice LeRae, who says not to talk to Nikki Cross like that or talk about her family. Candice LeRae says that they can do it in the ring, and Zoe Starks says that works for her. So next week's going to be Zoe Starks versus Candice LeRae. We get Raquel Rodriguez versus Chelsea Green, and you know, Chelsea Green got some offense in, but this match was all again. Like, she gave Chelsea Green a big boot, 2 clotheslines, a fall-away slam, and a Tejana bomb, and she won. Afterwards, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler attacked Raquel Rodriguez, and Ronda asked Raquel a rhetorical question. Raquel, that with or without Liv, Raquel's going to defend those tag titles. So if you guys remember at WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler won that showcase match. So that logically meant that they were getting a shot at those tag titles. So, but now with Liv Morgan being injured, we don't even know what's going to happen with those tag titles. So I guess we got to wait and see. All right, so we get another Seth Rollins sit-down interview. And he starts talking about his accomplishments. And Corey Graves asks him, why is the current version of Rollins the best version of Rollins? He says his hands are off the wheel, and he gets to experience the most authentic version of himself. And he says that there's something organic relationship with the crowd, and he hates to say it, but they need a change. Again, doesn't feel like anyone at the top wants to take risk. With the titles that they're holding, they're more concerned with protecting themselves. And so then Corey Graves asks Seth Rollins what he thinks of Roman Reigns' title reign. And that's where it ends. So cliffhanger there. So you have to wait till next week to find out what Seth Rollins thinks of Roman Reigns' title reign. I'm very curious to hear his thoughts on that, honestly. And then so our main event is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Now, I actually thought this was a really fun match. I actually really enjoyed this match. Sami Zayn and Finn Balor start this match. You get a back elbow to Sami Zayn by Finn Balor, an arm drag to Finn Balor by Sami Zayn. An elbow to Priest by Sami Zayn. Damian Priest kicks Kevin Owens in the face. And then, like, at one point, both Finn Balor and Damian Priest are on the outside. And Priest is, like, about to go back inside the ring. But Finn Balor tells him he's got an idea. And he calls for backup, which ends up being Dominik and Rhea Ripley. So Sami Zayn clothesline Finn Balor. Kevin Owens stomps on Damian Priest. Then he does a clothesline and he follows it up with a senton. Kevin Owens does a super kick to Damian Priest, which he follows up with a cannonball. Dominik trips Kevin Owens, and then the ref ejects Dominik and Rhea Ripley. And as they're leaving, Xavier Woods attacks Dominik from behind and chases him away. Paul Heyman comes out, and he watches this match. And I was kind of wondering why Paul Heyman was there on Raw when didn't he get drafted over to SmackDown? But if you look closely on his phone, it said visitors pass. So I guess that makes sense. Or as much sense as it could make, I guess. Now, if the Usos were there or Solo Sikoa, I would have no explanation for you about that. So Kevin Owens does a headbutt to Damian Priest, which he follows up with the Swanton Bomb. Sami Zayn does a driver to Finn Balor. Then Finn Balor turns around and does a sling blade. Sami Zayn does a Blue Thunder Bomb to Finn Balor. And then Imperium shows up at ringside. So this is what I talked about when I said that Imperium played a part in the main event. This is what I was referring to. They show up. Kevin Owens gives a stunner to Damian Priest. And then Sami Zayn hits an exploder to Balor in the corner, which he follows up with the haluva kick. And so just when he does this, Vinci and Kaiser cause a distraction. This allows Damian Priest to choke Kevin Owens onto the ring apron. So Vinci and Kaiser cause another distraction, while Gunther holds on to Sami Zayn so that Finn Balor could drop kick him and then hit him with the coup de grace, allowing Judgment Day to be victorious. So, fun main event. There certainly was a lot of odds stacked against Sami Zayn. They were outnumbered. And it seems to me like they got bigger problems to worry about than the bloodline here. They got to worry about Judgment Day and now Imperium going after those titles. And like I said, Imperium was all over tonight's show, which I actually really liked. They're showcasing Gunther and Imperium. But aside from that, tonight's show was okay. I really didn't like the rematch between Xavier Woods and Dominik Mysterio because it was the exact same thing as we saw. I didn't care too much for the jobber match with Veer and Indus, Sher. So tonight's Raw was alright, I guess. It was okay. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys Wednesday after Dynamite. Bye.